Hello and welcome by Open the Canal. My name is Michael Robertson, and today I am standing before the Johanneskirche in Gießen. The Johanneskirche, a very, very beautiful church, and I was here for a few weeks to witness a guitar concert with the man here.
Karel Fleichlinger was born 1966 in Boskovice, in the Republic of the Czechoslovakia. He studied guitar on the Conservatorium in Pardubice and graduated from the School of Music, Franz Liszt, in the class from Professor Art Zimmermann. He has won many national and international awards.
Now, when I hear the word guitar, I get certain associations, but the guitars I heard on this evening, they were unlike anything I had ever heard before. They sounded differently, they were tuned differently. Some had frets and strings made of what we call cat guts, which were actually sheep or pigs. They were definitely not guitars as we know it. Plus they had some strange names like vihuela, and chitarra batente, or guitarra española. Now the guitar as we know it came to birth around the middle of the 1800s. So all of these guitars were much older. So this led me to one question. Where does the guitar begin? And that's where our story begins.
Now, I don't know what this thing is called, but I found it on a flea market, and it's got a tortoiseshell body, 3 strings, very simple tuning mechanism, and it's just an example, one of the many examples you'll find of stringed instruments all around the world. In the archaeology, they have found many reliefs in Old Egypt, in Persia, and in Babylon, depicting people playing guitar-like instruments. The Persians had a 4-string instrument which they called tar. Tar means string. Now we're getting close to our guitar, but we've still got a long way to go. And the Greeks around between 800 and 150 BC had an instrument that they called GUITARRA. The guitar had 7 strings. Now the Romans, who conquered Spain around 200 BC, had an instrument which was somewhat similar to the Greek guitarra, which was called guitarra. They all sound the same. It had 4 double strings. Later came the Muslims and developed the guitarra further, and we have an instrument which is called the guitarra latina. All over Europe, the guitar was being developed in different shapes and different forms. So to exactly say who made the first guitar, it's almost impossible. But what we do know is that around 1850, Antonio Torres in Spain, a carpenter, had the idea, which later became what we know as the classical guitar. Now in Spain, the guitar took on a history all of its own. And the list of pioneers who helped to develop this instrument is endless. One man we'd like to speak of is Francisco Tárrega. And Francisco Tárrega was the man who was responsible for what we now know as the classical position for classical guitar. In the history of the guitar, there's one player you cannot leave out, and that's the electric guitar. Now, what actually makes the electric guitar electric is an invention from George Bouchon around the 1920s, 1930s. And his invention is the pickup, these things here. George Bouchon got together with a man from Switzerland, his name Adolf Rickenbacker, and they invented the first electric guitar. Now this electric guitar looked more like a frying pan than a guitar, but it was electric, it had strings, and you could play it. Now, around the 1930s, there came along Les Paul. And Les Paul had another idea. Normally, the guitars had an hollow body. And Les Paul decided to make the body solid. Now, this meant you could turn that sucker up as loud as you could go without a lot of feedbacks. So now we've got our guitar. Now, for people who don't know much about the guitar, there is one name that most people know, and that's Leo Fender. Leo Fender was a builder of amplifiers and guitars in around 1954. And his guitars, you could almost say they're the most famous in the world. Everybody knows of the Fender guitar. And the many players who have taken this guitar to becoming the god among guitars is also endless. So I hope you've enjoyed our little history of the guitar. I enjoyed it very much. Research. So that was our little history of the guitar. So I hope that you enjoyed it. And the next time you see someone playing a guitar, then you will maybe think of some of the things we've learned today, and that the guitar is not just something to make noise with, but it's an instrument with a long history, a very interesting history. So in closing, I would like to go back to someone who I know really appreciates the guitar, and he plays it very beautifully. To end, I would like to play for you a few pieces from Karel Fleichlinger on the romantic guitars. For Offene Kanaal, Mars Entertainment, God bless America.